shocking news from Christian Horner that Lewis Hamilton had talks with Red Bull more than once, even just this year before signing a new deal with Mercedes. In August, Hamilton signed a new deal with Mercedes that will keep him with the Silver Arrows for at least the next 2 seasons. However, Horner, the boss of Red Bull, has said that the 7-time world champion really looked at his options elsewhere before committing to Mercedes. Horner said that Hamilton's representatives contacted Red Bull to talk about a huge partnership with Max Verstappen. They have reached out a few times. Most recently, earlier in the year, there was an inquiry about whether there would be any interest. But I can't see Max and Lewis working out together. The dynamic wouldn't be right. We are 100% happy with what we have. It was also said by Horner that Hamilton and Ferrari were in serious talks this year, and it was even suggested that talks were still going on as late as May. He added, "He met John Elkann, Ferrari chairman. I think there were serious talks. It was around Monaco in May. There were definitely conversations, perhaps with Vasseur too, but certainly with Elkann." Earlier this year, Lewis Hamilton made a point of saying that he thought Max Verstappen had to beat a weak group of Red Bull drivers over the years. Maybe he thought he could be the one to really beat them. I'm no more impressed than when Michael Schumacher was leading, when Sebastian Vettel was leading, when Kimi Räikkönen was driving, when Fernando was winning. It's just the same. I think the Red Bull team as a whole is one of the strongest. They're firing on all cylinders right now. The car is incredible. The drivers are doing an amazing job, very consistent. The pit crew is doing a great job. The mechanics are doing a good job. Strategy is doing a good job. On point, you can't fault them. In my personal opinion, all my teammates have been stronger than the teammates Max has had. Jensen, Fernando, George, Valtteri, Nico. I've had so many. These guys have all been very, very strong, very consistent. And Max has not raced against anyone like that. The fights between the two have been in the news for the past 3 seasons, starting with when they raced head-to-head for the world title in 2021. Red Bull and Verstappen, on the other hand, have been unbeatable since then. The Dutchman won 15 races last season and 18 of 21 this year. He told Mercedes and the Briton to work harder instead of yelling and screaming about other people. "Maybe he's a little jealous of my current success," Verstappen said. This kind of statement, he possibly thinks he's winning something with that, but it makes no difference to me. I think Mercedes have a very hard time dealing with losing after all these years of winning so much. At some point, you have to be realistic, and then you have to be able to appreciate what other teams are doing. We did the same when they were dominant, and we also said, we have to work harder because we are not good enough. You can keep shouting and screaming that what we do is not that special. You just have to deal with yourself. It was a sentiment echoed by Horner, who said, "He's had several teammates. Obviously, he's always had the upper hand on his teammates. But it's not just been about competing against teammates, it's about competing against the rest of the field as well. And I think that Max has clearly demonstrated what he's capable of. And indeed, some drivers might not even want to drive alongside him." So, after all this fights between the two sides, is Lewis Hamilton really interested in creating a super team at Red Bull? When asked about Horner's claims when they got to Abu Dhabi before the last race of the Formula One season, the Mercedes driver didn't understand what he meant. After that, he couldn't help but poke fun at the Red Bull boss by saying, "He loves that kind of stuff." "I don't really know where that story has come from," Hamilton told Sky Sports F1 when asked about the interview with Horner. "I mean, I know it's come from Christian, so I don't really understand what he's been talking about because no one, as far as I'm aware, from my team has spoken to him. I haven't spoken to Christian really in years. However, he did reach out to me earlier in the year about meeting up, but that's it. I just congratulated them on an amazing year and said hopefully soon I'll be able to fight against you guys in the near future, and that was it. So, I'm not really sure. I think he's just stirring things. There aren't any confidential discussions. You know Christian, he loves that kind of stuff." Craig Slater of Sky Sports says that Red Bull backs up Christian Horner's claim that Lewis Hamilton talked to the team earlier this year about a possible move. Since Mercedes has said they are relaxed about the situation, it's not clear if there was even a plan. Craig Slater gave an update on the situation on Sky Sports after talking to both teams. Red Bull is sticking to Horner's story, while Mercedes is trying to cast doubt on it. He said, "I thought I'd better fact-check it, so I got in touch with Red Bull, and they say, yes, absolutely, Christian Horner stands by this." A known Lewis Hamilton representative made contact with him. They wouldn't specify how in-depth this contact was particularly, but it did happen. That's the more interesting aspect to all of this, because Lewis has ultimately re-signed with Mercedes for another couple of years. And he did speak during the contract negotiation process about not looking anywhere else. I did get in touch with Mercedes, who tell me they are relaxed. They are not stressed about any of this. As far as they see it, they think it's rather implausible, but it would be, in their view, due diligence for a representative of Lewis Hamilton to go and maybe see what else is out there, what future opportunities might potentially be out there. But they're not taking it particularly seriously, and it is not in any way an issue between the team and Lewis, even if this did happen, which they're not convinced it did. It could even be the case, of course, that Lewis didn't even know about this contact necessarily. One insider connected with the team observed to me, "Well, is this Christian Horner needing to use Lewis's name to make a few headlines?" David Croft asked Verstappen about that at the driver's press conference in Abu Dhabi, and the Dutch driver gave a tense answer. "What would it add to know?" he responded. "Because I didn't know. It's not happening. You know there's no point to make up stories if it's not happening. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind. It doesn't matter anyway," he added. I don't want to put it now, particularly on Lewis. I mean, there are so many great drivers as well. Sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. Could Red Bull get two roosters? In recent years, teams have done that, with Hamilton and Nico Rosberg being the most well-known example. Toto Wolff has said that he never wants to see that happen again because it caused too many problems. Fans may want two of the best drivers to compete in the same cars, but it's a disaster waiting to happen for the teams. Since Red Bull was so strong this season, it probably would have ended the same way as 2023, with a Constructors' Championship and a 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship. However, if a rival team had been closer, that would have been a different story. No team wants their drivers taking points away from each other. In 2007, Hamilton and Fernando Alonso did that at McLaren. They stole points from each other, and Kimi Räikkönen beat them by 1 point to win the world title. It can also split the team in half, pitting garage against garage. People don't call Perez the number 2 driver, but Red Bull doesn't want anyone to challenge Verstappen either. What do you think about this? Is there any chance for Lewis Hamilton to join the Red Bull team alongside Max? Please let us know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching our video, and we will keep an eye on the latest news for you. So make sure you click on the subscribe button to not lose any future updates.